So I am at the Gilbert Ryan College of Business, so I now have to say the name of the college because we just got named as Gilbert Ryan College. And I'm in the Department of Information Technology and Decision Sciences. And so what we do we teach both information systems and business analytics. And we also do research, and we also do industry relations and industry connection. So the project that I'm going to talk about today is an industry collaboration project. It's not your pure research project. It's something that is broader than my work at UNT, but I still had to kind of give you a background where I come from. So this, the agenda will talk a little bit about the motivation, the goals, etc. So I've been to a number of talks related to AI, and I've been to a number of conferences related to AI, and they are full of presentations by vendors that talk about their fascinating, fantastic product, and about presentations by platform providers such as H2O AI that promise to democratize machine learning and AI. And if you go online, pretty much every report, every industry report from any consulting company talks about AI as a future. And what it looks to me like a hype. And it is definitely a hype. Now, how many of you are familiar with the history of artificial intelligence? I'm sure most of you have read something about it. How many of you have heard the term AI winter? AI winter? It's the period when the hype is over and nobody else wants to invest in the field because they don't. So AI field experienced at least 2 AI winters. One in the 60s and one in the late 80s. Now, each of those winters followed a hype. Now, do you know what is the difference between a hype that is followed by a winter and a hype that converts itself into a sustainable growth industry? It's ROI, it's return on investment. Can companies make money out of it? Because we all live in a capitalist society, for better or for worse. I think it's for better. And we all operate on the idea that somebody is going to receive value from the investment. And that value is usually monetized. So right now, I talk to companies, and they see a mishmash of terms. And those terms, many of them are technical terms. And then there are terms such as digital transformation, value, profit, etc. But there is really little discussion of the direct path between the technology and the value that it brings. So what do we see here as a motivation for this project? There is a proliferation of tools and technologies that use artificial intelligence and promise to deliver value. And we have seen a very good representation of those during these past 2 days. At the same time, we have business people and technologists lacking a common language to talk about those technologies. Therefore, much of the conversations at business conferences have very superficial nature to them. Now, organizations can derive value from technologies mostly when those technologies are embedded in business processes. And right now, there is little guidance as to how AI is associated with specific business processes. And most organizations lack an adequate process for AI governance, and that is recognized by many organizations, including the World Economic Forum. I'll talk a little bit about the initiative later. So with all that, there is a need for some common framework that would help organizations understand how to derive value from technologies. There's a lot of inspiration that there are a lot of past initiatives from which we can derive inspiration to build such a framework. from crisp DM that many of you have heard about, to COVID, and this is more on the IT governance, and Agile Manifesto, if any of you are familiar with IS development. And finally, right now there are initiatives going on at World Economic Forum with whom we are actually talking on merging these two projects. There are also a lot of inspiration that can be derived from companies. From Google, Amazon, IBM, IDC. I'm not trying to exclude anybody. There are many large players that are trying to contribute to that area. So what if we all came together and we developed a common framework and standard that can be used to discuss the value of artificial intelligence products, projects, and investments in such a way that business executives can understand it? So this project that we are starting here is aimed at exactly that. Now there are three main use cases for this project. Now the first use case is the one that actually gave rise to the entire project. Help business managers navigate the field of AI product offerings so that a marketing executive, an HR executive, an accounting executive could go to their conference and ask the right questions from product vendors. Now, many of you here are on the side of the product vendors, and you say, why do we need that? We need that to separate the vendors that deliver value from the vendors that just play on the hype. It is in everybody's best interest to have the way to differentiate between the good product and the bad product. The next component of it, the next use case, is the evaluation of artificial intelligence ventures. Now, there is a lot of investments into artificial intelligence right now. Much of it is by large companies, such as IBM, we have here present, and Google. But there is a lot of interest in the investment community. Now, investment community has some specialty investors, those that specialize into technology investments, those that are in the Silicon Valley, perhaps on the East Coast, somewhere in Europe as well. But I also have friends who are investors who want to have AI in their portfolio, but they do not have the expertise or simply the time to devote to truly understand the technologies that are underlying it. They would like to have AI in their portfolio, but they need the guide of how to include different ventures into their portfolio. So that is our second use case for using this framework. The final use case is the idea of AI governance. Now, how many of you are familiar with the placebo effect or the Hawthorne effect? It's when somebody is given a pill that is really not meant to do anything good for you, but because you are given a pill, you say, hey, I'm feeling already better. Well, the same thing happens with organizations. When you have an initiative in an organization and you do something, everybody gets excited and performance goes up temporarily. And then things go back to normal and performance falls back to the baseline. So how do we sustain the return on investment that our original model implementation or product implementation brought in? And that is where we need sustainable AI governance to ensure that our models are monitored, to ensure that our models deliver value to our stakeholders over a sustained period of time. So these are the three use cases. Now, how do we plan to address those use cases? This is the outline of what the framework and standard will include. And right now we are still in early stages. So the framework and standard will start with principles, the guiding principles for the framework and standard. It will include reference architectures, and this is the other part where we have progressed. Then, in addition to reference architectures, we will include reference processes, and I'll talk maybe a few words about it. I will have to skip some of the details in the interest of time. And then, once those are in place, the goal is to collect best practices from all of you, from the community, and organize them. And also to have tools and templates that can be provided to the players, to the companies, to the vendors, to help frame their products and design their products in such a way that they deliver value. So, am I doing on time here? Okay, good. So the principles. How many of you have heard of the book by Ray Dalio, Principles? It actually has 2 volumes. One of them, Principles for Life and Work, and the other one, Principles for Economy and Investment. Now, this book makes its way to the desks. It's been published in 2017. It's on the desks of many executives. And I'm not going to go into the details of those principles, but what is very interesting here is the introduction. Why are principles important? Every day, each of us is faced with a blizzard of situations we must respond to. Without principles, we would be forced to react to all of the things life throws at us individually, as we are experiencing them for the first time, as if we are experiencing each of them for the first time. If instead we classify these situations into types and have good principles for dealing with them, we will make better decisions more quickly and have better lives as a result. So in the same way, when we try to deal with such a broad topic as deriving value from artificial intelligence, and we all know that artificial intelligence is a very broad term encompassing a wide variety of technologies that are changing every day, we need guiding principles. Now, this is the first step in defining those guiding principles. I fully expect them to evolve, but these are the beginning of the guiding principles. Now, they're divided into 3 categories. The first one deal with alignment. Now, I've been studying the value of information technology for the past 15 years. And what is the biggest impediment from organizations deriving value from information technology? It's the lack of alignment between the business and IT investment. So, alignment, we see here at 3 levels. The first level is the alignment between AI and business. And within that, there are again 3 levels. The strategic level, to what extent our AI investments are driven by our business strategy. The operational level, to what extent our AI is aligned with our existing organizational business processes. And right now, this is the biggest impediment. And thirdly, to what extent our performance metrics for AI are aligned with our organizational performance metrics. So these are the business alignment. Now, business alignment is all good, but we also need technological alignment. And that is the alignment across the entire plethora of technologies that are involved in producing a sustainable AI solution. And I will talk to them as we talk about the architecture. And finally, so this is the internal alignment within the AI solution. And then finally, the technology alignment. If we implement AI into a company that is completely not digitized, it is going to be a waste of money. We need to align the technological solution that AI provides with the technology that the company already has, information technology, other digital technology. So this was the first set of principles dealing with alignment. Again, business alignment, internal alignment, and technology alignment. The next set of principles has to do with transparency. We talk a lot about transparency. I want to broaden the discussion about the transparency to include 2 types of transparency. So 3 types of transparency. So the first one is benefit transparency. What is the real benefit from implementing an AI solution? Is it a better product? Is it a faster decision? Is it a better decision? Is it a cheaper decision? The second type of transparency is the cost transparency. Recently, we have a number of publications coming up talking about huge astronomical costs of training deep neural networks. Particularly, we are talking about very large, very deep neural networks. But the costs are going into 6 figures, 7 figures of training an NLP neural network. I've seen an article that talks about multi-million cost of training a large transformer neural network using neural architecture search. Okay, that is the extreme, but we have lots of money going into the pure infrastructure of training many models. How do we account for all those costs? Do we make those costs transparent to our businesses? And the final one is the operational transparency. That is the stuff that we talked about for many sessions yesterday. Can we see how the decision is made by AI? And I'm not going to go into that discussion, but it is a very important topic. It is a topic of AI ethics and AI governance boards around the globe. So again, we are broadening the topic of transparency to include cost and benefit transparency in addition to the operational transparency. Now, the last three principles have to do with managing your AI over time. The first one is the management of the intellectual property. I call it knowledge management associated with AI. The second one is the life cycle management. It's easy to deploy a model and say, that's it, we are done, and move to the next project. But that model continues living. And there's a lot of discussion of having to monitor the model, monitor the drift. But do we have the processes in place to ensure that that monitoring is done adequately and aligned again with our strategic goals and performance metrics? And finally, the complexity management. And that is, if we have hundreds of processes in our organization, and each of them has a little AI component in them, how do we manage the entire complexity of all that AI and the interaction amongst them? So again, these are the principles. Now, I know that I will run out of time very soon, and so the idea of this presentation is to actually get you excited and to get you come and work with us. But I'm going to give you a little bit of a teaser on the architecture. So right now we are looking at the architecture going from, at the top, the business capability. That is where the value is actually derived. And that, you can think of it as have you heard of lemonade.com? It's an insurance company. They're promising adjustment of your insurance claim in 3 seconds or something like that. And they actually sell insurance, so they are running on machine learning, but they are delivering value. They actually managed how to convert that AI into return on investments. So that's your business capability. Now below that goes AI capability. Think of it as something like Google Translate or Amazon Recognition. And these are, of course, the high level. But any kind of well-packaged AI solution can be thought of as an AI capability. And below that, there are the models, platforms, technical infrastructure. I have this, in my opinion, really cool restaurant metaphor of how to explain this infrastructure to a business person. I had a great experience explaining it to a group of financial executives the other day. They actually got it. I was very, very proud of it. So the idea is that if you try to start a restaurant, any of you have had a restaurant in the past? You all eat at restaurants, I know you do. So you start a restaurant, you need a building. That's your infrastructure, right? You can rent it. You can rent it from Google Cloud, Amazon Cloud, IBM Cloud. Sometimes it comes bare, as a bare kitchen. Sometimes it comes with pre-installed stuff. I think I'm giving some kudos to the Power AI. That's an example of your architect, that your kitchen already has all the appliances in. What are the appliances? These are all your frameworks. TensorFlow, PyTorch, Theanor, Scikit-learn, R, SageMaker, AutoML, you name it. The things that you use to build your model. This is your tools, the kitchen. Then you have your catalog of models, and that's your cookbook. And you have decision trees, neural networks, you name it, you know it sometimes better than me. Those are all good ingredients. They're not enough for you to build a restaurant or to open a restaurant. What do you need to open a restaurant? Number one, you need to be able to cook entrees. And those entrees better be tasty and flavorful. For you to cook an omelet, it's not enough to have a recipe of an omelet. What else do you need? You need ingredients, and that's your data. And you also have somebody who would cook it, and this is your IT talent. And here's what I want you to remember from this entire presentation. You may be able to do the best quiche Lorraine in the entire Dallas-Fort Worth area. It is not going to make you a successful restaurant owner in its own right. There is a big difference between being able to create an AI capability and being able to deliver value from that. And in order to be able to deliver value, you need to understand whether your AI capability meets the needs of the customers who can pay for that capability according to the cost of that AI capability. And this is what I want all of you to take out of it, and this is why I want all of you to come together to help provide guidance on how to help businesses build business capabilities on AI. What are going to be our next steps? We are still working on refining the architecture, building the set of reference processes, building and start collecting use cases and best practices and tools and techniques. It's envisioned as a collaborative project, collecting contributions, integrating them, applying them, learning from applications, and going through that cycle again. If you have ever done lean or agile, probably reminds you something. Have a website. Again, it's just the start of the website. We keep working on that. If you want to get engaged, and that's why I'm here, I hope to get engagement from you in 3 ways. One of them is contribute to actually the development of the framework. The other, equally important, try to apply it and bring us the use cases of application. And the third one is, again, help us promote this framework around. I'm working with these are just a few faces. Now Steve is here. Some of them, as you look at where they come from, we have Europe and we have the US. So we have people engaged throughout the world, and we hope to get more engagement here. We are talking again to the World Economic Forum. They have a similar initiative to collaborate on those projects. I've had discussions with many of you here, having discussion with SAS. I don't know if I'm sure you have heard of SAS, to engage them. So I would like to hear more from you. All the information is on the slides. The slides will be posted, right, together with the presentation, and thank you.